Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I am coming back to this brand. You probably recognize the box if you're familiar with it. Oris, a brand whom I haven't featured for quite a while now. I of course featured my own Oris Aquis Date way back, one of the earliest videos in the channel, but this one is an update. This model is I think the most popular in the range in terms of the color combination. So I thought I'd feature this. Shout out again to Graham, local friend and supporter, for making this available. So let's just get into this packaging. So the outer, fairly thick cardstock box, it's not a thin thing like you might get in Seiko. This is pretty substantial here. So Oris on the top, and there's the packaging that the box contains, and that's where the watch sits. And I'm just going to show you a little bit about the manual. You may have seen some of this already. Certainly I showed this earlier. So you got kind of like my Oris Club, you got the guarantee card here, real watches for real people. It's the Oris kind of slogan that they've sometimes used. International service centers, kind of a guide, and then look at that, just a picture of a watch movement from the back, a chronograph movement, and showing their famous red rotor. So I'm just going to show a little bit about this. So multilingual, of course, so you don't have to by any means read all that. The English section really is only 30 pages, and if you look at the 30 pages that it contains, it actually does contain multiple calibers. Just have a look at chronographs, divers and whatnot. So it's not just all for one particular model. This is a multi-caliber model, there's a bit of adjustment there. So that's all I'm going to show, not much more about that, I think. And I'm going to put that aside now and just show you the actual packaging. So, the slot for the warranties and manuals down the bottom, and then that's the remainder of the box there. So I'm going to put that aside, and look at that. This is a clamshell packaging. So very different to my own box, which I have here. So this is my own one, and it actually comes in a box. As you can see there, it's very different. And I don't really know how they decide what gets what. I thought at first maybe a rubber strap watch gets this, and a metal bracelet one gets this, which is obviously my one. It's a metal bracelet watch. But that doesn't seem to be the case. I've seen pictures and photographs on the internet for both types of models in both types of packaging. So let me know if you have any idea how they decide what gets what. This one is more substantial, it weighs more. But I tell you what, I probably actually prefer the clamshell because this doubles as a travel case. So let's just get out the watch now and show you how this works. Right, so just a bit of foam buffering in this clamshell, which really you could zip this up and throw it in your suitcase and it would be okay for travel. It's a bit big, but I guess that's what you could use it for. And practically speaking, I probably prefer something that can be used in that way. So just a simple, I don't know what that's really made of, but it's some sort of rubbery material, not sheer rubber, but it's got that Oris on the top there, solid zipper for the clamshell casing there. Okay, so let's just put that aside and show you the watch proper. Okay guys, so this is the Oris Aquis Date, of course. This model, it's got 10 digits in the model, so I'm not going to read it out. I'm just going to put it down the bottom and in the description. This one is, of course, the black on black. Black dial, black bezel, steel case. In this case, it's got the rubber strap. Of course, it also comes in the metal bracelet if you preferred that version. As far as I can tell on retailers, this color combination being the most conservative, black on black, is the best selling one. So it's a good one to feature on the channel, I think. MSRP, as far as I can tell, $1,850, so 1,850 USD. Sale prices, typically you can get it for about $600 less than that, around the $1,200 to $1,300 mark, depending on the retailer that you go to. And just look at that. Lovely case back. I just love this case design. This Oris Aquis Date is just one of my favorite go-to watches still after nearly 2 years on the channel. Okay guys, so movement Sellita SW200, which is kind of like a ETA 2824 analog, really the same specs apart from having one more jewel. So 28,800 beats per hour, 26 joules as opposed to 25 on the ETA 2824, 38-hour reserve, and of course it's got all the creature comforts. It's got the quick set date, in this case 6 o'clock position, like white date on black dial, which is quite nice. It kind of doesn't make it stand out too much. It's got hacking, it's got manual winding. What do you expect, right? That's really what you're going to see in a movement like this, three-hander Swiss movement. This one isn't COSC certified. It's not a chronometer by any means, but Oris do seem to regulate their watches pretty good. So this one runs about plus 7 seconds per day consistently in the week or so that I have used it on the wrist. So that's pretty good. I can easily live with that. Moving on to the case. So guys, this is the 43mm Aquis Date. So 43 millimeters across in diameter. Thickness is a fairly, I think a fairly decent, not too thick 13 millimeters. The lug width, I think it's kind of meaningless in Aquis Date sense, but that's about 12 millimeters because it's actually a proprietary lug. So there's not much point talking about the lug width on the Aquis Date case there, but I can tell you lug to lug, okay, it's fairly modest. I think for a 43mm watch, this is 50.5 millimeters, so it wears pretty good, particularly how those lugs do bend down towards the wrist. It wears pretty good actually, I think. Now, weight comparison, well, this one is rubber strap, so it's going to be substantially lighter than a metal bracelet watch, which is my version here. On the right. So this one actually weighs 175 adjusted. So I've taken out about 4 links, 175. This one, you don't have to take out any links, and it comes in at 135 grams. So, 40 gram difference, even adjusted on the metal bracelet. Substantially lighter watch. If that's what you prefer, this is what you would go for. Okay, let's just talk about the case now. So almost fully brushed, okay? So let's just pan around, look at that lovely case back. Let you just, feast your eyes on that for a second there. So it's almost fully brushed. It is longitudinally brushed on the top surfaces. Probably difficult for me to translate this on the camera here, but longitudinal brushing on the top. Circular brushing on the bottom. Okay, so that's really what it is, and it's kind of longitudinal on the sides as well. The only polished surface on the case itself is actually this angled surface on the ends of the lugs here. Okay, those are polished. Everything else really on the case itself is brushed. Okay, so that's really what the finishing is like. It's got that notable kettle shape, of course. If you look at the side here, that's what a lot of people call the kettle case shape, which really is lovely. I really like the Oris Aquis Date design. It's got those unique proprietary lugs, which kind of like is one of the bugbears of the design, but it's also one of the strengths as well, just that unique look to the whole design. The case back has this porthole style screw-in case back, a little bit over-engineered. You can easily open this with a 3-prong tool. You don't, by no means do you need a 6-prong tool, but they have 6, holes there for the removal of the case back if you so prefer to do that. And just let you look at the writings on the side. They're water resistant, sapphire crystal, 300 meter 30 bar rating, and everything else, along with that lovely rotor, right? Some people say it's pretty basic, but they've stuck to it, and it's a pretty iconic thing now with Oris, with that red rotor that they put on all their watches, all their automatic watches. Okay, so that's the display back. With that display back and that very nice design crown with Oris there, screw-in crown, this watch is rated at 300 meters. You probably know this already without starting the review, and you've seen it at the back there, 300 meter water rating. And just look at that crown guard there, right? It's got that unique screw there. It's got the triangular screws on the side there, so you can't easily open that with typical tools. You have to get a special tool if you wanted to remove that very nice, unique proprietary crown guard design there. Right, okay, so let's just move on to the dial here. So in this case, it's going to be a bit difficult for me to convey this, but it's a kind of a flat or a matte, I guess more a flat black, I would say, a flat black dial here with applied indices, right? Those 12 applied indices all the way around. kind of leaf style hands, but a bit of sporty twist to the leaf hand here. It's not really dress style leaf. It's kind of a more fat leaf, and it's got that divided lume on the hour hand there, all filled with superluminova. And I'll put a lume shot up right here for you to take a look. It does have a blue tint to it. So Oris doesn't actually specify what it is, but I'm guessing it has to be BGW9. You know, I think the way it works, you know, it works excellently through the night, and I think it really does have to be BGW9. It can't really be anything else, I think. All right, surrounding that is a 120 click, very nice clicking unidirectional dive style bezel with a ceramic insert. In this case, the ceramic is kind of a matte brush. Okay, I'm not sure if it's going to come up, but I'll do my best to just show it with the lighting on the camera here. It's got a matte brush on the ceramic there with this white engraved numerals, which is done in a very, very visible way. I really appreciate how visible these numerals are. You know, there's no mistaking what numbers you are looking at as you look at this bezel here. When you turn it around and you look at it, you know exactly where it's telling you what it is indicating. Okay, and then on top of that is that very nice dome sapphire with internal anti-reflective coating. And the one thing I really appreciate about this is that how it's actually contiguous with the bezel. The slope of the bezel continues on to the sapphire, and that's a really, you know, really nice touch there. So many nice design touches, I think, in the Aquis Date, which makes it such a favorite watch. Okay, so that's really what I have to say about the case itself. Last thing I'll mention is that the Oris, the automatic, you know, pressure resistant, all that's printed. There is no applied part there, right? So if you have a criticism about lack of applied branding, well, this one doesn't have that. It does have the applied indices, nothing, and all the words there are actually printed, not applied. All right, let's just move on to the strap now. So this is the Oris Dive rubber. Okay, let's just have a look at it. And in terms of quality, I have to say this is the best quality rubber I have had ever on the channel, right? It's a step above any of the Chinese rubbers. It's a step above anything from Invicta. I haven't had another Swiss rubber watch to compare, so I guess I don't really have that experience, but this is definitely better than anything else I've seen in terms of a rubber strap. It really is, you know, there's a suppleness to it. There's a very crisp printing on the Oris engraving there, and it comes across, you know, as a premium feel, and it is also of premium comfort. I do have to say that honestly in hand. And then moving on to the clasps, I mean, just look at this. This is just, you know, again, one of the best clasps in the business, right? I mean, absolutely solid, right? It's got that micro adjustment there, right? Just push the button and you can adjust that. And you can also quickly adjust the position of the that end of the strap there, okay? So that's just what it is. So let's just put it on for the wrist shot now. And there we have the Oris Aquis 43mm watch on my 17cm wrist. So guys, you know, that's how it looks like. What do I love about this? Well, you know, there's so much competition at this price range, right? The $1,200 price range. You got cheaper stuff, Christopher Ward, Rado, Longines, Glycine, but Oris still managed to get above the competition. You know, great design, great hands, indices and markers all there. It's got that contiguous lume, right? The dome design, right? It's got that unique case guard, you know, the crown guard there. It's got that lovely case back, you know, just something I really enjoy about this watch. You know, there's so many things that I like about the design. You know, the lugs are another thing, you know, you like or not, it is definitely unique and solid all around. You know, the case, the metal, the bezel, the quality rubber, the clasp, it's just quality and solidity all around. You know, what weaknesses are there? Well, really, you got to be nitpicking, and really the only thing I would say is that the lugs make it so that you can't actually customize this very easily with NATOs and all that. That's really the only thing that I have to complain about the Oris design. So guys, that's the watch there. Now I'm just going to grab my old Oris for a quick side-by-side. Okay, so here we are for the side-by-side, and I'll just let you look at it. I mean, everything's really the same. in terms of the case, it really is just a different design on the bezel. Okay, so you can see the font is actually slightly thinner on this bezel, and this bezel is actually also a polished bezel. Right, so that's one of the major differences. The only other major difference is actually just the color of the dial. So this one is kind of a blue sunburst. Very difficult for me to show in this lighting, but in the sunlight, definitely it's a blue sunburst. So that's really the differences in the case itself. The only other major difference is the strap, right? The bracelet versus the rubber strap on the left here. And what drives me to go for bracelets? If you follow the channel, I'm very much partial to metal bracelets as opposed to any other type of material strap. So if you go for the steel, in this case it's steel, of course you can get other metals, titanium and whatnot, but really steel is the most common. I like steel because of the value addition that it generally gives to a watch. But in terms of the Oris, it does have also the dress versatility as compared to rubber. I think you're going to be able to use this in more versatile settings, more formal settings than a sporty rubber strap. Performance as well overall, it's going to be durable to your lifetime, for years and years. I know I've got 30-plus-year-old watches. The metal bracelets still function absolutely fine. Whereas rubber, over time, it's going to fall apart. Give it a long enough time frame, rubber will fall apart, as will almost any other material type of strap, short of something like nylon. The other thing I like about the bracelets is that it's a personal fit. Yes, there is some micro adjustment on some bracelets. If you've got a glide lock one, yes, there's micro adjustment, but really most of the time you're going to have to adjust the links out, and then it becomes your personal sizing, which I kind of appreciate. It's kind of customized to my size wrist. All right, what's the strengths about rubber? Well, I think clearly comfort is one thing, right? It's lighter, and this is very supple, and definitely is, it's a darn side more comfortable than wearing the cold metal bracelet. That's one of the strengths here. Anything with a strap, that's going to have these adjustment things is immediately shareable. I can hand this to someone else, and they can just quickly adjust it, and it will fit their wrist. Not so much for the metal bracelet, right? Sometimes you're just never going to get it because you'll have to adjust it, and if you lose the links, you can't size it to a larger wrist, which a lot of people do experience, misplacing links that they have taken out. That's just not my own thing, that there's a lot of people who have reported that. Another thing about rubber and leather and nylon and whatnot is that, of course, it hides the damage a lot easier, right? Not as durable in the longer term, but in terms of superficial banging, well, the metal's going to show it a lot more than something like this. You're going to bang that around and you're not going to notice it at all. That's one of the big strengths about these soft things. The cons about steel, well, it's almost like the reverse, isn't it? Less comfortable, heavier, so people might not like that. It's more costly, so if you're going to need to replace that, definitely a lot more expensive to get a quality metal bracelet than something like a replacement rubber, right? Not shareable, and if we've mentioned the damage, visibility. The cons about rubber, well, value adding, definitely, in terms of resale, you're going to sell that, with a little bit more value than something with a rubber strap. Long-term durability, well, I've mentioned that, it's a reverse, right? This one will fall apart. This one, I've not seen a quality bracelet like this fall apart. I've got many over time in my family, and they all still function and they hold together absolutely fine over decades. Whereas this one, we've had some rubber straps just absolutely fall apart over time. And that includes resin as well, and leather definitely will fall apart. And then in this case also specifically, it's less versatile, right? Leather overall on a watch would be more versatile across a greater range. But in this case, I think this sporty rubber is less versatile than this particular Oris metal. So look, guys, I think I'm going to do a separate video about bracelets versus different straps in general and pull out a few examples. But that's my thoughts in terms of Oris metal versus rubber straps. So guys, that's the video. That's my review of this particular model. just a slight comparison with my old Oris Aquis Date. Let me know what you think about this. You know, just such a popular watch, a watch that I really like personally. Let me know your thoughts on the Oris Aquis Date. You know, particularly if you own specific models, whether you own the newer model with the updated case, dial design, and all that, or you own this particular older model. Let me know. I'm very keen to hear your thoughts on this very popular range. So guys, if you enjoy my videos, do consider subscribing. I'll put out new content weekly, always aiming to be objective and unbiased about all things horology. Thank you again for sticking with me, and as always, I'll catch you guys next time.